Hi everyone, welcome to today's class on para completion made super easy. Now, this class is of course focusing on the MBA entrance examinations for 2021, wherever para completion is asked. So, first of all, what is para completion? So, as simply told, para completion is where you are given a couple of statements that are a part of paragraph, and you have to decide what should be the last statement of that paragraph so that the paragraph is coherent and complete in meaning. Okay, now before we jump further to study what para completion is, the topic for today being para completion made super easy, I assure you that by the end of this class you'll definitely be able to solve para completion very easily. Before that, now since 2020 has ended, 2021 has begun, CAT is out with its results. Here is something to motivate you and clear your doubts. That is that these are the top percentile scorers who are Unacademy learners. And yes, you can be the next one, very easily. How? Just enroll for these top three batches of Unacademy. These are the best possible teachers and their best possible combination for the batches. This is an evening batch, an absolute batch. Okay, these are for the MBA entrance examinations. And if you use my code, which is Shalinee SHALINEE, you're going to get additional 10% discount on the existing code. Okay. Now, next is Unacademy Combat. This is Compete, Crack, Conquer, a short competition which will make you win exciting prizes like Amazon vouchers worth 50,000, 30,000, etc. And to unlock these, you again have to use my code Shalini. Okay, just enroll for free. And the next combat is day after tomorrow, that is 10th January, 12, sorry, tomorrow, 12th January. 10th January from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Now, before I begin, let me tell you something about myself. So, I'm Shalini and I completed my MBA from IIM Indore, and I have a teaching experience of 2 years in VARC. Now, why will Unacademy set you in the right direction? Why so much focus? Why I chose Unacademy as a teacher and why I want my students to take Unacademy? Why I regret I never had access to Unacademy while I was preparing for CAT around 3 years back or so. This is because, of course, we provide you the best of teachers. Remember that pedagogy is something that will always take you ahead. Why you look for good institutes, you look for good pedagogy, you look for great results in terms of placements, etc. Similarly, when you take up a coaching institute or an online subscription, you need to look for the daily live classes, quizzes, structured courses, unlimited access. Okay. So you have daily live classes, you have live tests and quizzes, you have unlimited access to the subscription. Once you're subscribed to, you'll have access to the thousands of videos that have been published or gone live or taken by all educators so far with Unacademy. So that is a commendable library in itself. The course is structured. You'll have a schedule that works for you so that you do not compromise on what you are pursuing already, a job or a business. There's no language barrier. Choose any language amongst the 12 languages that we provide and then learn anytime, anywhere. So once you subscribe using my code Shalini, you get bumper discounts and you download, you get the access, you download the classes and you can access them from anywhere, everywhere. Along with that, daily basis, our top educators take up live classes that again become a part of the repository. Interact with your teacher just like you do in a physical institute. Get your doubts cleared, answer live polls. As simple as that. Then we have PDF and learning material that we provide, just like your coaching institutes provide you learning material. Then you have live tests and quizzes, very essential to analyze your own performance. And then you get detailed report and analysis. Okay. Now, this is my code Shalini. अगर आप कैट का प्लान लेते हैं तो यू विल गेट बम्पर 58% डिस्काउंट ऑन 1 year सब्सक्रिप्शन and you'll get bumper 75% off on 2 year subscription. Okay, and if you proceed, you'll realize the results once you start pursuing it. Now let's get back to the topic. As I said, para completion is where you are given a paragraph and you have to find what line completes the passage most easily. Okay, now let's begin with rule 1. Rule 1 says that a conclusion must achieve the following. First, it must be a value addition to the given paragraph, of course. It should not be the case that it is just a repetition or it is a summary or it is word play. मतलब एक ही सेंटेंस को जैसे तैसे लिख दिया. तो ये केसेस पैरा कंप्लीशन नहीं होंगे. कुछ नया या कुछ बेहतर वैल्यू एडिशन करना पड़ेगा उस सेंटेंस को. ठीक है. इट मस्ट प्रिजर्व द यूनिटी ऑफ द थॉट एंड स्ट्रक्चर. तो एक नया आइडिया नो, या एक एक्सटेंशन नो, या फिर एक फार फेचड कंक्लूजन, ये सब नहीं. इट हैज टू प्रिजर्व द यूनिटी ऑफ थॉट, द थॉट विथ विच द ऑथर हैड रिटन दैट पैराग्राफ. इट ऑल्सो हैज टू हैव a completion. Okay, it must preserve the unity. It has to be complete in itself. Next, it must be consistent in tone with the given paragraph. Very much. अगर आपको लगे कि वो किल बिल्कुल अलग टोन पे जा रहा है, कोई नेगेटिव टोन पे या सैडिस्ट टोन पे, while the paragraph is written on a very jubilant tone, in a very positive tone, then this lack of consistency is surely not the correct answer. Comes next. Rule 2. Try to foresee what is coming and pick up the clues that may present a hint of any of the following patterns. First is cause effect. So, one of the most common conclusion patterns. The paragraph presents us with causes and the correct answer option present us with the logical effect. Do remember that the effect cannot be in contradiction with the causes. In rare cases, effects are discussed in the paragraph and the cause is inferred in the answer option. ओके, सो इट्स यूजुअली बहुत ऐसा कम होता है कि पहले देखो, हमें पता है कि लॉजिकली भी पहले आता है कॉज फिर आता है इफेक्ट. तो ऐसे पैटर्न में क्या होता है कि जो क्वेश्चन दिया होता है ना, जो पैरा दिया होता है, उसमें कॉज होता है और इफेक्ट जो होते हैं वो ऑप्शंस में होते हैं. ऐसा बहुत रेयरली होगा कि ये पैरा में है और ये आपको चूज करना है. अब इसमें एक और चीज ध्यान रखना कि कॉज और इफेक्ट कंट्राडिक्टरी नहीं हो सकते. दे मस्ट बी इन सिंक विथ ईच अदर. और अब मैं क्या कह रही हूँ ये आगे के क्वेश्चंस में आपको बेहतर समझ आएगा कि कंट्राडिक्शन किसको कह रही हूँ मैं, या कॉज इफेक्ट का टाइप क्या होता है. ठीक है, अब आते हैं कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन पे. The paragraph presents us with a situation and the correct answer offers a probable course of action. Okay? So, एक सिचुएशन है, जैसे अगर आपको दिया हुआ है कि इंडिया की इकोनॉमी का या फिर एग्रीकल्चर का करंट क्या सिचुएशन है और उस पर कोई पॉलिसी लेके गवर्नमेंट आई है या कोई रिकमेंडेशन दिया हुआ है, वो आपको ऑप्शंस में से चूज करना होगा. इस तरह से you will be given a situation and the correct answer will offer a probable course of action. Probable, okay? Not definite, not always. Next comes a contrasting option. Contrasting option में होता है कि the paragraph presents us with a viewpoint or several viewpoints elaborating on one side of the story. The paragraph will present you with one or maybe many viewpoints. Okay, and the correct option will present you with another side of the story. Now this is potentially dangerous situation very well, क्योंकि इसमें हर चीज बहुत अफरा तफरी मच जाती है ना, सब कुछ बहुत ज्यादा एड हॉक हो जाता है. फिर ये समझना मुश्किल हो जाता है कि क्या सही है क्या नहीं, क्योंकि ये तो कोहेरेंस बन ही नहीं पा रहा। अभी इसमें क्या होता है कि ये ध्यान रखना बस कि पैराग्राफ का कंटेंट कंट्राडिक्ट ना हो, कंट्रास्ट करे बट कंट्राडिक्ट ना हो। कंट्रास्ट ऑफर्स अस एन अपोजिंग व्यू पॉइंट बट डज नॉट इनवैलिडेट द अदर, ठीक है। कंट्राडिक्ट क्या हुआ कि मैंने कहा आई लाइक टू वेयर रेड, and the other day while I go out shopping I'm not buying any red outfit and I'm saying that god, red does not, I don't like red, red doesn't suit me. So that is contradiction. But in case one day you said that you really like the color red, and while you're going out shopping you're saying that I do like red but I think I look better in yellow, so I'll be shopping yellow and not red. Now that is presenting you a contrasting viewpoint. That is not invalidating the fact that you like red. You still like red in the second example, in the latter option, but not in the former one. And what is the reason behind saying this? Simple reason that an author who's presenting a viewpoint will never like to contradict his own argument. Okay? Now comes chronological order. Chronological order says that the paragraph may present us with a series of events following a definite and linear timeline. The correct answer option may extend it further. Be wary of the answer options that are far removed from the timeline in the paragraph. Okay? जैसे यूजुअली एक टाइमलाइन होता है, एक वॉर की टाइमलाइन होती है, या कोई एक स्पेसशिप है, या कोई एक डेवलपमेंट है जिसका ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम ऑप्शंस दिए हुए हैं, ठीक है। तो यू हैव टू बी फेयर वेरी ऑफ दोज ऑप्शंस इफ दे आर फार रिमूव फ्रॉम द टाइमलाइन। नेक्स्ट कम्स अ प्रॉब्लम सोल्यूशन अप्रोच। इसमें सिंपल चीज होती है, the paragraph offers us a problem or a problematic situation and the correct answer option may be a solution. Just like I said कि एक situation होती है और possible recommendation होती है, but जब problem होता है तो एक हो सकता है कि what can be done, दूसरा हो सकता है what could have been done. Okay, it's not necessarily always a probable course of action. Next comes theory illustration. Now, the paragraph contains a theory or more likely a theoretical discussion, and the correct answer option offers an example to explain it. Remember, the wrong answers may contain examples that disprove the theory instead of accomplishing the opposite. So, there is a theory, and there must be an answer that will offer to explain it. So remember that the example about the theory should not disprove the theory. Instead, it should accomplish the opposite, that is, to prove, to enhance the theory further. अब आते हैं next पे, which is reinforcement of an argument. Now, another extremely common paragraph structure, the paragraph contains the argument and the correct answer option, the appropriate substantial of it. Do remember what wrong answer may inadequately support the argument. True that. पैराग्राफ में एक आर्ग्यूमेंट देता है और एक आंसर जो होगा उसको सब्सटेंशिएट करेगा। रिमेंबर दैट रॉन्ग आंसर विल नॉट, रॉन्ग आंसर पहचानने का तरीका ये होता है कि ये इसको इनएडिक्वेटली सपोर्ट करेगा, नॉट एडिक्वेटली। अब आते हैं सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीजों पे, विच इज एलिमिनेशन। ओके, नाउ व्हाट इज एलिमिनेशन? Now, I was talking about elimination. Elimination can be effective as selection. That is so true. We all know that, right? कैट के एग्जाम में जब आपको, किसी भी एंट्रेंस एग्जाम में जब आपको चार ऑप्शंस दिए होते हैं ना, और आपको चूज करना पड़ता है कि भाई कौन सा सही है कौन सा नहीं, तो इसमें सबसे इजी तरीका होता है कि आप एलिमिनेट कर दो कि कौन सा तो गलत है ही। ठीक है। और एलिमिनेट करने पे आपके पास बहुत कम ऑप्शंस बचेंगे जिसमें से आपको सेलेक्ट करना होगा, दैट विल मेक योर लाइफ रियली रियली इजी। तो पहला ऑप्शन है इरेलीवेंट। ये कहता है कि सच आंसर ऑप्शंस आर द कंक्लूजंस विच आर ईदर एंटायरली अनरिलेटेड और वेगली रिलेटेड टू द पैराग्राफ। मतलब कहीं से भी उठ के आ गए, कोई मतलब नहीं है इस चीज का। ठीक है। तो इनको हम कहते हैं बिल्कुल वेग, बिल्कुल इरेलीवेंट, कोई मतलब ही नहीं। कई बार होती है रिपीटेशन। रिपीटेशन क्या होती है? सेम लाइन को आप लेके, सेम लाइन को आप लेके रीट्रेट वर्ड प्ले कर देते हो, अलग अलग तरीकों से लिख देते हो, दैट इज रिपीटेशन। सेकेंड इज कंट्राडिक्शन। जैसा मैंने कहा था कि जो ऑथर ने खुद के बारे में कहा है उसको वो डिस्प्रूव नहीं कर सकता ना, कंट्राडिक्ट नहीं कर सकता, इसलिए इसको कहते हैं कंट्राडिक्शन। अब आता है टू ब्रॉड। टू ब्रॉड क्या होता है कि पैराग्राफ के स्कोप को बिल्कुल मैग्नीफाई कर देता है। जरूरत ही नहीं है ना, ऑब्वियस सी बात है। अगर कोई चीज बात कर रही है सपोज एक देश के इकोनॉमिक सिचुएशन की, और उसको फिर एक्स्ट्रापोलेट करके वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी या फिर इट्स इम्पैक्ट, बहुत फार फेचड कोई ऑप्शन हो, तो उसको कहते हैं टू ब्रॉड। ठीक है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द पैराग्राफ में ओनली बी अबाउट हु विल बी द नेक्स्ट गवर्नर ऑफ टेक्सास एंड एन इनकरेक्ट ऑप्शन विल सडनली रेज द टॉपिक ऑफ द नेक्स्ट यूएस प्रेसिडेंट। नाउ नेक्स्ट इज टू नैरो। Too narrow is either it will focus pointlessly, or maybe it will cover only one or two points that have been mentioned or that were the aim of the entire passage. So that will be too narrow in scope. Next is inconsistent tone. When it comes to inconsistent tone, you have to be wary of the options that are clearly out of sync. For example, the paragraph is formal in tone and conclusion is extremely informal. Okay? कई बार पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव टोन्स भी हो जाते हैं कि ऑथर एक तरफ बहुत होपफुल हो रहा है और सडनली एक ऑप्शन सही लगता है लेकिन उसका टोन नेगेटिव है, तो उस टोन को आप काट दोगे। अब आते हैं न्यू थीम्स पे। न्यू थीम्स आर द मोस्ट डिसेप्टिव ऑफ ऑल। Such new themes are only related to the ongoing discussion in the paragraph, but they cannot be immediately introduced. The writer may talk about them in the next paragraph, after that, but not in the given paragraph. तो एक बिल्कुल नई थीम ही शुरू कर देते हैं। अगर कोई नई थीम नया पैराग्राफ शुरू कर देती है, इट्स लीडिंग टू अ न्यू पैराग्राफ। सी, इट इज मोर लाइकली टू स्टार्ट द नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ देन इट इज अ रॉन्ग आंसर। फाइनली आते हैं आंसर्स पे। तो अभी तक हमने काफी डिस्कस कर लिए क्वेश्चंस। अब हम आते हैं ऑप्शंस पे, एग्जाम्पल्स पे, ठीक है, थ्योरी पे। अब हर क्वेश्चन में मैं ऐसा करूंगी कि आई गिव यू अ मिनट, द क्वेश्चन इज फ्लैशिंग ऑन स्क्रीन, द मेन क्वेश्चन की में मेरे वीडियो से शायद थोड़ा कट जाए, बट जो आपको सॉल्व करना है वो पूरा क्लियरली विजिबल है, इसीलिए मैं पढ़ देती हूँ। मैंने लिखा है बस ब्लू में कि इन द क्वेश्चन बिलो फोर sentences or parts of sentences that form a paragraph are given. Identify the statements that are incorrect in terms of grammar and usage and then choose the most appropriate option. Cool. Now let's shoot. Okay. आपके पास A B C D दिए हैं. Take a minute and tell me. Sorry, this question. Yes. Here is the question. 1 2 3 4 पैसेज दिया हुआ है, 1 2 3 4 ऑप्शन दिए। अब इनमें चूज करके मुझे बताओ कि A B C D में से कौन सा बेहतर उसको कंप्लीट कर रहा है। I'll set the timer in the mean. I think a minute is over. Can we start discussing? So see, the first question. ये रहा पैसेज. क्वेश्चन को देखो, ठीक है. पैसेज कह रहा है कि द अंडरलाइन कॉज फॉर द अनकंट्रोल्ड इन्फ्लेशन is the key consumables of the household is the failure of government to do its job. तो अभी जो की कंज्यूमेबल्स हाउस होल्ड के होते हैं, की कंज्यूमेबल्स क्या होता है हाउस होल्ड के? दाल चावल रोटी तेल बिजली पानी साबुन ऐसी चीजें. उस पे जो अनकंट्रोल्ड इन्फ्लेशन है उसका अंडरलाइन कॉज कौन है? उसका अंडरलाइन कॉज है द फेलियर ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट टू डू इट्स जॉब. Hence, private players are offering services at a serious, means unreasonably high cost to meet demands of a growing middle class. इस चीज का फायदा उठाते हुए private players have started offering the cost unreasonably high cost पे basic services provide करना. Now, one who wish to pass their life peacefully without getting engaged in much aspiration. Two says that is reeling under the pressure of rising prices but anyhow trying to make both ends meet. Three, which aspires to move up the ladder and secure a higher level of income. D, which is left with no alternative but to manage by reducing its expenses on the essential commodities. अब आप बताओ क्या होगा. पहला कह रहा है कि हु मतलब मिडिल क्लास हु विश टू पास देयर लाइफ पीसफुली विदाउट गेटिंग एंगेज इन मच एस्पिरेशन. अभी आप मुझे बताओ, यहाँ पे बात हो रही है इन्फ्लेशन की पॉइंट्स देखे तो. फिर बात हो रही है की कंज्यूमेबल्स की. फिर बात हो रही है प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स की और महंगाई की. तो पीस और एस्पिरेशन कहाँ से आया? दिस इज कॉल्ड ब्रॉड स्कोप. दिस इज कॉल्ड वेरी वेग. क्योंकि पीसफुल और एंगेज इन एस्पिरेशन में बहुत चीजें कवर होती हैं. ऑफ कोर्स इट इज रिलेटेड टू इन्फ्लेशन टू बट नॉट एंटायरली. ओके. Next comes that is reeling under the pressure of rising prices but anyhow trying to make both ends meet. So, that is reeling under the pressure of rising prices but anyhow trying to make both ends meet. Sounds to be a good option. तो वन तो एलिमिनेट हो गया. अब हम देखते हैं शायद टू एक आंसर हो. टू को हम मार्क कर देते हैं. ठीक है, बकेट में रख देते हैं. आता है थ्री, which aspires to move up the ladder and secure a higher level of income. ठीक है, so it aspires to move up the ladder and secure a higher level of income, which also sounds like a right option. Fourth, which is left with no alternative by reducing its expenses on essential commodities. नहीं, अभी देखो यहाँ पे एक चीज लिखी है ग्रोइंग मिडिल क्लास. तो एक पॉजिटिव टोन में लिखा है कि मिडिल क्लास ग्रो कर रहा है और हाई कॉस्ट मीट कर रही है. इसका मतलब है कि डेफिनेटली द मिडिल क्लास एस्पायर्स टू मूव अप द लैडर एंड सिक्योर अ हायर लेवल ऑफ इनकम. प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स एक ग्रोइंग मिडिल क्लास को क्यों महंगे में बेच रहे हैं? इस बात का फायदा उठाते हुए कि गवर्नमेंट ध्यान नहीं दे रही है, क्योंकि मिडिल क्लास इज एस्पायरिंग टू मूव अप द लैडर एंड सिक्योर हायर लेवल ऑफ इनकम to capitalize on that increasing paying capacity of whom do you call, of the middle class. The private players are offering those services at high cost. Fine. So 3 is the correct option. Why not 2? Because 2 is showing contrasting opinion. God, tell me something. If private players are not stupid, if they're offering services at high cost to meet the demand, that means they know that middle class can pay. But 2 presents a contradicting view. It says that it is reeling under the pressure of rising price and anyhow trying to both make both ends meet. That is not the definition of a growing middle class. Okay. Now comes 4. 4 says that which is left with no alternative but to manage by reducing its expenses on essential commodities. So it is left with no alternative. This is presenting a very grim, a very gloomy view, very hopeless view of the middle class. But the para says that a growing middle class. So this is again not a right option. Now, I hope I was able to do justice to this question. This was the first question, so I took a lot of time to explain. Let's now move to another question. Take your time and we'll discuss. I think a minute is over, so let's start discussing. Rather, 2 minutes. So, the question goes as Canada's reputation for financial regulation is starry. Its banks got through the crisis unscathed. According to Moody's, a ratings agency, Royal Bank of Canada sits alongside HSBC and JP Morgan Chase in the top tier of global banks. And Canadian policymakers are old hands at pulling macroprudential levers of the sort. You know what this means? This means that Canada has a great reputation when it comes to financial regulation of their economy or their government or their financial institutes. The banks of Canada went through the economic crisis unscathed. That means that they were completely unimpacted. They swept through it so well. They saved themselves so well, sailed through it. According to Moody's, Moody's is a top ratings agency. The Royal Bank of Canada, which is the main bank of Canada, sits alongside HSBC and JP Morgan Chase. So HSBC and JP Morgan Chase are renowned names, brands, or you can call them as the rich world central banks or the Ivy League banks. So Royal Bank of Canada sits alongside these global banks. It is that good. And the policymakers, Canadian policymakers, are old hands. Old hands means very well skilled at pulling macroprudential levers of the sort that would bring financial discipline all over. Okay, sounds okay. 2 says, which conform to moral and ethical global banking system. Now this is entirely new topic and far-fetched. B नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि यहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे हैं कि पॉलिसी मेकिंग की मैक्रो प्रूडेंशियल लिवर्स की. We are not talking about how ethical and global banking system is. It's not necessary that what is ethical or global will perform well. It could be other way around too. Okay. Now comes second thing, third option, which is now in vogue among rich world central banks. Okay, so I'll tell you what it is. See, that would bring financial discipline all over is again very open-ended, not very definite. बहुत वेग भी नहीं बोल सकते, irrelevant भी नहीं बोल सकते, बहुत all over. It's not complete in itself ना, कोई एक point छू के छोड़ दिया, inadequate है. It can be an option, but it is insufficiently validating. इसलिए let's go to C. C says that now in vogue among rich world central banks. ठीक है. तो ये कह रहा है कि कैनेडियन पॉलिसी मेकर्स आर ओल्ड हैंड्स. वो तब से जानते हैं मैक्रो प्रूडेंशियल लिवर्स को जो अब रिच वर्ल्ड सेंट्रल बैंक यानी जेपी मॉर्गन एचएसबीसी में अब वोग में है. वोग मीन्स ट्रेंडिंग इन करेंट यूजेज. उन चीजों में कैनेडियन पॉलिसी मेकर्स वर प्रो सिंस ओल्ड हैंड्स है, स्किल्ड है, पुराने स्किल्ड है. ठीक है. That's why C is the correct option. Now let me see if D is also a good option or not. D कहता है, now consistent among enough among all commercial bank as per the prevailing international norms. नहीं, I think C is more precise. D एक नया आइडिया supposedly present कर रहा है, इसलिए D is not a right answer. अब आते हैं इस पे, क्वेश्चन पढ़ो फिर हम शुरू करते हैं. Okay guys, just one thing. जो लेफ्ट एनएल है ना, ACEG, there is some error with proper presentation. Take that as ABCD, और ये जो sentence, like I'll make it easy for you. Wait, this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. Okay, forget these. These are just my mistakes. Pardon me for that. और ये आपके ऑप्शन है, ये सही है. Done? Shall we begin? Yes, let's see. So non-residents, the question says that non-residents are allowed to purchase shares or convertible debentures of an Indian company up to the extent and subject to terms and conditions set out under the FDI scheme. Okay. So non-residents are allowed to purchase shares or convertible debentures of an Indian company. ये एक टर्म सेट आउट कर रही है FDI स्कीम का. दूसरी लाइन कहती है, a person purchasing shares proposes to be collaborator or proposes to acquire the entire shareholding of a new Indian company is required to obtain prior permission of the government. Extending and proposing more rules of the FDI scheme by saying that a person who is purchasing shares proposes to be collaborator or proposes to acquire the entire shareholding of the new Indian company. Okay? Now A कहता है कि if he has previous venture or tie-up in India through investment in shares or debentures. Okay, now comes B. B कहता है when he wants to invest as per the policy guidelines with the intention to keep the money and transfer the same on conditional basis. ये क्या है कि this is just showing an intention. Possible next course of action. Extension of what is given. It's not adding any value. So it is cross. For me, the answer should be A sounds like an answer because ये उस टर्म एंड कंडीशन को कंप्लीट कर रहा है जो लास्ट लाइन में दिया है. इट इज सेटिंग आउट ऑल द टर्म्स. Now let's see C. C कहता है if he likes to establish the company for the benefit of this country without selling the shares in international market and move for this is, oh god, this is complete example of irrelevant. इतना ज्यादा बड़ा है ये. This is completely proposing a new thing, extending the scope unwittingly, unnecessarily. So C is again not the option. B is also not the option. Now let's see D. D कहता है unless he is a non-resident Indian, he may not be permitted to go for direct investment in India. This is contradicting यार. मतलब पूरा पैसेज एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है कि अगर कोई नॉन रेसिडेंट है तो उसके पास क्या क्या flexibilities हैं, what are the possibilities of him on in buying a physical or a non-physical investment or tools of investment. Debentures हैं या land है या a sort of investment है. And D अचानक comes and says that unless he is a non-resident Indian, he may not be permitted to go for direct investment in India. Okay, this is presenting a contradicting, invalidating, contrasting view which is not required. When the passage is talking about setting out all terms, the options should also set out further terms and complete the passage. Hence, my correct answer is option A. Okay, let's move to next question. There you go. Done? I think gave enough time. Let's start. Question says, sufferings of an injured person would include his inability to lead a full life, his incapacity to enjoy the normal amenities which he would have enjoyed, but for the injuries and his ability to earn as much as he used to earn or could have earned. Simply says that an injured person sufferings would include his inability to lead a full life. Okay, not just the injury or the pain, but also to lead life, full life means the way he was living before it. He cannot even enjoy the normal amenities full of his capacity. He cannot earn as much as he used to earn. That's why while computing compensation, the approach of the tribunal court should be broad based. So not just कि उसको कितनी चोट लगी कितना नुकसान हुआ, but also consider that he cannot even earn as well as he used to do, and even if it does, he cannot enjoy the normal amenities as well as he used to do earlier. ठीक है? In view of the capacity of the person liable to pay the compensation. No. Here we are talking only about the person who has been injured, who is suffering. So please do not bring in an option that talks about capacity of the person liable to pay. Broad-based means be restricted to the information given in the para. Here broad-based does not mean include the sufferer and the one who inflicted the pain and consider his liability or his capacity. But the broad base means not just the injury, not just the suffering, but also consider that his future has been changed forever. Okay, that is why A is completely out of scope, not the correct option. Now comes B, the basis of which should be volume of injuries and the incapacitation the victim suffered and the other important factors. Guys, remember when I talked about elimination, I told you कि कुछ ऑप्शंस ऐसे होंगे जो उसी चीज को वर्ड प्ले करेंगे, रिपीट करेंगे घुमा फिरा के. अरे when my paragraph is already saying that he's incapacitated, that there has been a huge volume of injuries that he has suffered, then what it is? Then why should you again write on the basis of which should be this and that? You've already said that, right? The last line rather says that approach has to be broad based and sometimes it would involve some guesswork, because C says correctly that because there cannot be any precise formula to determine quantum of compensation. Why? Because it also considers the future, the incapacitation, that he will not be able to enjoy life as he used to. तो जो लास्ट लाइन है उसको बहुत एडिक्वेटली कंप्लीट करता है और इसलिए ये पूरे पैराग्राफ की यूनिटी और कोहेरेंस को मेंटेन करता है. सो सी इज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. लेट्स स्टिल चेक डी. नेवर डू अवे विद द ऑप्शंस in overconfidence. Always check all the options for at least once. D कहता है depending upon the victim's liabilities and earning capabilities that would keep his family happy. Again, bringing in family liabilities, etc. No, this is again extending the idea, bringing in some new ideas. A probable start to a new passage. So D भी नहीं है, so my correct option is C. Please check. Done. Let's, I think a minute is over. Let's start discussing. So they say that already Emirates Airlines is being called as the national airline of India. Why? Because there are more flights, they carry more passengers, more Indian passengers to and from India than Air India does, where Air India we consider as our national carrier, okay? More than 70% of the passengers carried by Emirates Airlines, however, travel to the points beyond Dubai on Emirates network. Okay. Now, Abu Dhabi is also keen to emulate the success of Dubai and Emirates Airlines and is keen to establish Abu Dhabi as another hub airport on the back of Etihad Airways. So, see, they are saying that now, as a result of this, Abu Dhabi also wants to emulate success of Dubai and Emirates Airlines. And just like Emirates is for Dubai, Abu Dhabi wants to create the same hub using the back and the source of passengers from for Etihad Airways. A says, and for this reason is aggressively seeking an increase in capacity and entitlements. Makes sense. But Jet might find it tough to move ahead in this turmoil of political jugglery. Why am I bringing Jet? Why am I contrasting unnecessarily? I'm yet to complete Etihad, talking about Etihad. इसीलिए कहाँ गया मैं आपको यार? इसीलिए B is not a right option. A can be a Correct option. Okay, now C. However, the threat of losing business if no substantial improvement is made is obvious for Air India. Where did I bring the concern of Air India? I just placed it an example. I talked about Emirates. Then I said how Abu Dhabi is going to emulate success of Emirates. I used Air India only as an example, a small instance. So I'm not going to emphasize on the whereabouts of Air India, problems of Air India. This is irrelevant. This is unnecessary. Let's see D. D says, although Etihad may prove to be a good achievement, but the changing sky policy will pull down the profits. Again, negative scenario. I'm already talking about how Etihad is thinking of building a huge hub like Emirates in the on the back of Etihad Airways. Why should I talk about a negative scenario of Etihad already? So D is also wrong. So very obviously A is the answer, but let me check. Is it? A says that, and for this reason is aggressively seeking an increase in capacity entitlements. Entitlements. Very true. This is right. It is trying to increase the capacity because of the reason that it is trying to build a back. Now that it wants to create a hub. Of course, it will need to increase its capacity in all terms, physical terms, employment terms, customer terms. So A is the correct option. Most completing, most appropriate. Okay. Okay. Now there's the next question. Here's the next question. So I hope you have read this. Shall we move? Shall we start? Okay. So the question says that rupee has lost a fifth of its value against dollar in the past year. So rupee has become cheaper. We need more rupees to compensate for dollar. Rupee has weakened. We have become poorer, reflecting global woes but also slowdown in India and a drying up of capital inflows. So पैसा देश में कम आ रहा है. Capital from the exports is reducing. Whatever money through whatever trade used to come into the country, that is also drying up. Its decline is widely seen in India as a bad thing. Yes, drying up of capital inflows is seen as a bad thing in our country. A says that stoking inflation and hurting firms with foreign currency debt. Okay. A sounds like a right option क्योंकि A कह रहा है that because capital inflows have stopped and rupee has declined, so inflation बढ़ गया, of course prices बढ़ गई चीजों की, and firms with foreign currency debt, that means the firms who have taken debt from outside the country, who have taken money from outside the country, if they had to pay 60 rupees earlier, now they'll have to pay 100 rupees. The debt has increased because dollar value has increased or rupee value has decreased. So A is a very correct option, but let me also see B, C, and D. For me, it seems to be right, so I'll encircle it. Let's see B. B कहता है stimulating vicious cycle of unemployment and pushing economy in reverse order. See, this could be true, but this is very far-fetched. Immediately, instantly, and in the passage given, which is my scope. My scope is the paragraph which is given. So according to this scope, we are just talking about slowdown in capital inflows, which may cause this, but this is a far fetched result. इसके रीजंस और भी हो सकते हैं और बीच में और भी स्टॉप्स हो सकते हैं कि चलो वैल्यू गिरा, कैपिटल इनफ्लो रुका, फिर ये हुआ वो हुआ, फिर जाके अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट और रिवर्स ऑर्डर में इकोनॉमिक पुश हुई, इसीलिए फार फेचड। अब आते हैं सी पे। सी कहता है इन्वोकिंग ट्रेंड्स ऑफ डिप्रेशन विद डिक्लाइनिंग प्रोडक्शन। नाउ डिप्रेशन तो बहुत चीजों से आता है, तो ये तो बहुत ज्यादा फार फेचड है, तुम डिप्रेशन को और डिक्लाइनिंग प्रोडक्शन को नहीं ला सकते। ठीक है, अब आते हैं डी पे। डी कहता है encouraging imports in the unfavorably running balance of trade in economy. Why would you encourage imports? This is completely contradicting and it is invalidating the previous points. See guys, as simple as that. He is talking about पैसे देश में कम आ रहे हैं, फॉरेन करेंसी की वैल्यू बढ़ रही है, चीजें महंगी हो रही हैं, तो आप उसमें इंपोर्ट कैसे करोगे यार? दैट्स मेकिंग इट मोर एक्सपेंसिव. Of course, the balance of trade is unfavorable, but this is not the answer. Okay. Now comes the next question. Let's go to this is the last question for today. Please focus well and let's see what is the answer. Interesting question. Okay, I think we have taken enough time, so let's start discussing. See, to me, it has always seemed that the very essence of good humor is it must be without harm and without malice. मतलब कि मेरे लिए गुड सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर का फंडामेंटल मीनिंग यही होता है कि इट शुड बी विदाउट हार्म, नॉट हर्ट, एंड विदाउट मेलिस, यानी विदाउट गंदगी. ठीक है, आई एडमिट, ही सेज दैट, मैं मानता हूं दैट इन ऑल ऑफ अस देर इज अ सर्टेन वेन ऑफ ओल्ड ओरिजिनल डिमोनिकल ह्यूमर. मतलब देर इज a little bit of element in this in which we are demonical, in which we are inconsiderate, in which we are unempathetic about people, towards people, and we find certain joy in misfortune of another. हमें ना अजीब एम्पैथी वाली सिचुएशंस में हंसी आ जाती है, वो सब हमारे नर्व्स में है, एंड इट स्टिक्स विथ अस लाइक अ सिन. जैसे आपके पाप कभी आपका पीछा नहीं छोड़ सकते, राइट? दे से दैट वंस यू कमिट अ सिन, यू हैव टू रिपे फॉर इट. in that manner, that vein is still in us, that streak is in us. It ought not to be funny to see a man, especially a fat and pompous man, slip suddenly on a banana skin. Suddenly is outsets an example saying that ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि एक मोटे आदमी को बनाना स्किन पे फिसलते देख के हमें हंसी आए. But it is. Number one कहता है, but it is funny. So he's very smartly, very sarcastically showing कि देखो, मैं भी कहता हूँ कि ऐसा होना तो नहीं चाहिए, बट यार फनी तो होता है ना. क्यों होता है? क्योंकि मेरे में वो स्ट्रीक है, वो डिमोनिकल स्ट्रीक है दूसरे की मिसफॉर्च्यून पे हंसने की. So this to me sounds the best option, but let me also see if I have better options. I can have. Two कहता है, when a skater on a pond who is describing graceful circles and showing off before the crowd breaks through the ice and gets a ducking, everybody shouts with joy. So this is yet another example. But this is not completing the paragraph. There should be something that concludes the paragraph. एग्जाम्पल पे एग्जाम्पल देने से नहीं होगा, तो टू इज नॉट द राइट आंसर. अब आते हैं थ्री पे. थ्री कहता है, but our sense of humor under civilization has been weakened. Why are you talking about our sense of humor has been weakened? I'm already accepting that we have this sense of humor and this is a critical element, unwanted though, but this is an inseparable element. So this contrasting view, far-fetched, an entirely new idea out of nowhere is not welcome. Remain to Remember to restrain yourself to the scope given in the passage. To limit yourself to this. Do not go outside. लक्ष्मण रेखा क्रॉस नहीं करनी है. ठीक है, अब आते हैं फोर पे. फोर कहता है, much of the fun of this sort has been lost on us. Well, okay. They say that much of the fun of this sort of thing has been lost on us. No, this is a very generalized, vague answer. This cannot be my option. फोर जो है ये बहुत अच्छे से इस एक एग्जाम्पल इस चीज का दे, बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल दे रहा है कि कैसे हमें पता है कि इस चीज पे हंसी नहीं आनी चाहिए, बट वो स्ट्रीक हमारे से चिपक के है. वन इज वेरी स्मॉल बट वेरी कंप्लीटिंग. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई से दैट पैरा कंप्लीशन में इस तरह के क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. अब आपको लग रहा हो कि मैम ये तो तीन शब्द है और ये कैसे सही है, बाकी तीन तो इतने बड़े बड़े हैं. दिस इज द रीजन. ओके, सो नाउ this was the last question. We have many more questions remaining for the next class. Hence, I would really like to see you guys in next class. Please keep tuned. Tomorrow, but I'll take a class on critical reasoning at around 12 p.m. Be there. It's going to make it really easy for you to solve CR. See you there. Thanks for being with me. That's all.